Hey everyone, welcome to the Disney Port Terminal. We are about to embark on our first ever Disney cruise and we can't wait to take you on this journey with us.
That's right, we're going to be sailing the Disney Fantasy for a 4-day excursion through the Caribbean with planned stops at Castaway Cay and Lookout Point for our very first time there together, and Lookout Point overall. It's our embarkation day. We're about to get on the boat. We're going to take you through some more of today's activities, so sit back, relax, and enjoy sailing with us.
Future Jen and Zach here. We are clearly off the cruise and back home, wishing that we were still on the cruise. But we wanted to go ahead and take a few moments to talk about our cruise and our experience on our first Disney cruise all together. Now, we didn't do this on the cruise because we were just having way too much fun.
Yeah, there was very few moments in between all the excitement where we wanted to really stop and be able to capture our thoughts on camera at that exact moment. So we're going to do this throughout our series of videos coming up. There's going to be 6 parts to this one because we had a few days on the cruise and then a couple days afterwards at Walt Disney World. So we're going to take you through everything we got, but you're going to do this kind of in a what we saw on the boat and a little bit of a review style, so be prepared for that. But what you saw here in the first moment or two of this video was our boarding process of getting onto the Disney Fantasy. If you've ever been on a DCL trip, you know this is quite hectic. If you've never been on a Disney cruise trip, it's a whirlwind.
Very organized, but a whirlwind for sure.
We had a port arrival time about 12:15, which those can vary throughout the morning depending on your level of Castaway Club membership. Which
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that'll come at a later time and we'll discuss that. You can actually see here Castaway Club swag that we got when we got into our room. But we got there about 40 to 45 minutes early, and you would think maybe that's a little too far ahead of time, and it wasn't. It got us right into everything we needed at an exact time, just enough time for us to film that intro that you saw at the very beginning of this video. So we went and arrived to the port, got in line to actually get inside the terminal, went through security and making sure everything is there. We've got our passports and all that. And then you get into the big terminal that you saw in those videos, and the boarding groups actually got called pretty quickly, one after another.
We waited maybe only about 10 minutes tops while in the terminal, and that 10 minutes was with filming and exploring the terminal, the model of the cruise ship, and then our boarding group being called. It really didn't take or feel like it took any time at all.
Yeah, and now when your group is called, you are not necessarily required to get on the ship at that moment. We were actually group 15, and they were boarding groups 1 through 15 at that point. So whenever your group is called, you have time to explore a little bit if you want to before you get on the ship. But we didn't want to wait. We wanted to get on board the Fantasy, and as you saw there, such a beautiful ship. Once you walk into the atrium, you've got Minnie Mouse as the main statue, the golden statue in the atrium. Those all vary depending on the ship that you're on. And we were frankly overwhelmed by just the beauty of everything and all the videos we've ever watched and planned going into it.
It's nothing like actually walking into the ship.
Yeah, you've got the statue, you've got the staircase, you've got the people saying your names as you get on board. Everybody's gathering around, and then it's deciding what are you going to go do first.
Now, when you first get on the ship, there's a lot of different things that you could do. There's shuffleboard, there's the midship detectives, there's just exploring the ship, but there's 2 things that most people typically go towards right away, and it's not their rooms, because rooms typically aren't ready until a little bit later in the afternoon. It's usually either food or the pool. Now, we opted for food because we hadn't eaten in a few hours, and it was lunchtime, so we were getting pretty hungry. And we had our kids with us, and we did not need hangry kids. So we opted for food at Cabana's.
So as Jen just said, we did opt to go for food first, and we went to the cruise's main buffet area known as Cabanas. Now, this is the big spot for breakfast and lunch if you're on ship. It usually closes for dinner, just because you have your rotational dining, which we'll touch on later in this video as we go through rotational dining in our first spot on our embarkation day. But Cabanas has pretty much anything you could possibly think of when it comes to cruise food, as well as your normal fixins, as we call them down here in the South. So my plate, I started out with pretty much one of everything. I got a couple chicken fingers. I got Disney Cruise pizza because I've heard so much about it. I had to try it. I ended up getting a lobster claw as well too. Figured might as well get some seafood while I'm on board. Got some breads in there. A whole perplexity of different foods, and it was all delicious. Pizza maybe a little overhyped. It's Disney pizza. It's not the best in the world. It was still, passable. I would eat it. But Disney chicken fingers, those always hit just right. And the lobster was actually really good too. But Jen, I know you had a few other different things on your plate, being that you do kind of tend towards the vegetarian side of things. You had some more of those options too.
I had a couple different things. I had a couple different types of rolls and cheeses. I had focaccia, olive bread. That was amazing. If you like olives, heavenly. The Parmesan bread, really, really good as well. I had a mozzarella caprese on ciabatta. That was delicious as well. Nice and filling. It looked small at first, but it was exactly the amount that I needed with a couple of these other things. And then I got potato and leek soup, which I am not a fan of leek. And I was a little bit nervous about getting it, but I love potato soup, and it's Disney. So I'm willing to try a little bit more foods with Disney, knowing that usually there's a little bit stronger quality there.
And there's more on that to come as we go through our days, because dining, we got very adventurous, and now it's going to influence the menu we have here at home because of that.
Very much. And it's already started. So potato and leek soup was my hands down favorite thing I had on my plate during that first lunch. It was fantastic. If I hadn't gotten full, I would have gone for a second bowl of it. And if we had been on the ship more midday, I probably would have gone and had that for lunch other days as well if it was out. It was absolutely my favorite thing. Desserts, for sure, were another big hit.
I think the cookies that they had were pretty good. I got a couple cookies. There was an Oreo cheesecake that was pretty good. My personal favorite was the carrot cake that they had. I like carrot cake. It's not absolutely my favorite, but I'll eat it, especially if it's shaped in cookie form like they do at Hollywood Studios. That is definitely to die for. But the carrot cake on board here in Cabanas was really good. Had a nice cinnamon, nutmeg flavor to it, so it wasn't very carroty in that case. But Jen, your standout was something that actually would be better for those that maybe aren't looking for as much sugar in their desserts.
So it was the no sugar added chocolate mousse, essentially. I can't remember, it wasn't called a mousse, but when I ate it, that's exactly what it reminded me of. And I tend to stay away from no sugar added stuff, especially when it deals with chocolate, because it usually doesn't taste that great. But again, I was venturous, I wanted to try it, and it was hands down my favorite thing. I would never have guessed that there was no sugar added to it. It was nice and creamy, it was rich, it was sweet, but not so sweet that you felt sick or nauseous afterwards. It was perfect the way it was. That chocolate mousse, to die for.
I would agree with her opinion. However, I didn't get to try that one.
I ate it all first.
I didn't get to try that one, but I'm going to take her word for it. She's our chocolate connoisseur in the house. I'm going to take her word that that one was really good. So we'll revisit Cabanas a couple times throughout our cruise. So we'll
Mostly
go over,
for breakfast.
Yeah, we'll go over some more of the items that we've got there. But after we were done eating, it was now time to go and explore the ship and go visit some of the different spaces that were there. And one of the main things we wanted to do is we had our two kids with us. We wanted to go explore the kids' areas. And lucky for us, there was an open house for the Oceaneers Club, Edge, and Vibe as soon as we got on board. So we went and explored those with our little ones.
So as Zach mentioned, this is when we really took this opportunity to go explore all of these other places on the ship, find the Vibe, Edge, and Oceaneers Club and Labs, which is where your kids can hang out if you have excursions that they can't go on or you don't want them to go on. If you have dinner at Paolo and they don't want to, or you don't want them to come on that one as well, they can hang out in the Oceaneers Club or in the Oceaneers Lab, Vibe, and the Edge, where they will be well taken care of and have so much fun. So let's dive into each of these. Vibe and Edge are your older kids groups. So Vibe is really going to be more for your teenage group. Your Edge is going to be 11 to
I think it was 14.
I think it's 13, 14. It's your
area,
preteen, early teen room space. They are connected to one another, so they share an outdoor space, which was really cool. They had like a little hot tub mini pool area, what looked to be like a 4-square giant court up on deck. They also have separate indoor spaces where they could watch movies, play video games,
foosball tables, things like that.
just hang out and chill, listen to music, card games. They even had I think it was Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza, like water version, like a version that you could play. It was like laminated, and you could play it in the pool, so they could actually take it with them, since that's one of those really big new games, right? So that was one that was really cool. We went into this space particularly because our oldest is in that age range where she could have gone and hung out in Vibe and Edge, and so we wanted to just show her what it was like and see if she ever wanted to go. She decided she didn't want to go into it this time. She wanted to stay with us and explore everything else on the ship, which made sense. It was a shorter trip for spending a whole lot of time, and we did have other family with us. So when we eventually go to Paolo later, which we'll talk about, they didn't have to go to a separate space because they were with family. So didn't have to worry about that this trip, but she did enjoy it, so she might go some other future time.
After we got done touring that area for our oldest, we went to go focus on the area that was for our youngest. This is the Oceaneers Club and the Oceaneers Lab. Technically two separate areas of the ship, but they are connected together, and they're basically one giant play space.
It's huge.
I want to hang out there. This is the area on the ship I want to spend most of my time at, because you've got themed rooms to Pixie Hollow, Star Wars, Marvel, Toy Story. Then when you go back through the corridor that connects these areas together, you've got an entire STEM area and drawing areas.
That was my favorite space.
It was absolutely incredible just to see our kids' eyes light up. Even our oldest, while she can't go into those areas anymore because of the age limits, she was having a ball being able to play with her sister and do some of the drawing things. They had like tracing areas. They had regular coloring and drawing as well too.
That art area was filled with tons of people. I just have to like pause for a second on that. There are so many people that I feel like really enjoy, you know, like the Animation Academy and everything at Walt Disney World, and that you get to do sometimes in like Art of Animation on rainy days. They'll bring people in to do, or they at least used to bring people in to do like an Art of Animation, a mini Art of Animation. And it was similar to that without being led. They had these lit up tables and the outlines,
the tracing pages essentially,
or different characters. You could go through and choose your character, put it on the bottom, put your sheet on the top, and go through and trace it. And it was filled with kids and adults of all ages. We had 3-year-olds sitting next to us and grandparents on the other end of the table. Everyone wanted to be in that room doing the art. Now, that doesn't mean the other rooms weren't filled also. All of the spaces were filled. It was a very popular spot to hang out for this open house. That was just my favorite.
Yeah, of course. This one ended up doing a drawing of Pocahontas, which is her favorite. We've got a couple that we brought home from that. But there was a lot going on in this space. It is a wonderful little area for your little ones. There is also the It's a Small World nursery on board. We didn't go into that because we don't have a baby at this point anymore. Our kids are well past the age of that area. But that area can also be a safe space for your very small children too. And that is the main impetus for these areas. It's not only a place for kids to hang out and have fun and do all sorts of different activities geared specifically to them. It's a safe space. If you are going to the adults only area of the ship, if you're getting off the ship to an excursion that your kids can't go to, if you're going to a dinner at a fancy restaurant that they're not allowed to go to, this is a very safe space with tons and tons of Disney staff that will make sure your kids are safe and well taken care of, as well as entertained to the highest of heights.
Now, I can attest to that. Now, many years removed, but way back in the day, my parents took me on my first ever Disney cruise, and that was on the Magic back in the 90s, soon after it had just begun, within the first couple of years.
1998, so the first year of Disney Cruise Line when the Magic and the Wonder came online. So she was in one of the very first sailings of the Magic.
And my parents went for an excursion onto one of the islands that we went to, and kids weren't allowed of a certain age. So I hadn't quite reached that age limit yet, so I had to stay on board, and I was in the Oceaneers Club. I was a little bit salty about it at first because I wanted to get off on the island, not gonna lie. But within 5 minutes, I had completely forgotten my parents were off the boat, and I was alone with all these other kids and Disney cast members because we were having so much fun.
Now, in these areas, if you do want your kids to be able to go and have fun here, you do have to register them. It is an optional thing, but you do have to register them if you want them to eventually go. They have open houses roughly once a day that you don't have to register for them. They can just go to those, but keep that in mind that you have to register. The open houses are great times to do that. There are staff in the check-in areas that can get that done for you.
And keep in mind, the open houses, you have to be with them all together. It's not, you can go drop them off. You have to stay all together. It's an exploring time as a family for the open house. And even if you register them, if you decide later they don't want to go, you don't need them to go, you don't want them to go, they don't have to go. But if you want them to have that option, like Zach said, you do have to register them. So if you want that option available, it's a good idea to go ahead and register them during one of those open houses.
So now that we got through finishing looking around the open houses for the kids' areas, it was actually time for us to go check into our room. As Jen alluded to a little earlier, rooms are usually ready later into mid-afternoon between 1:30, 2 o'clock. We went there closer to about 2 o'clock and were able to get in there. That way we had time to get in, unpack, settle in. And we actually ended up doing a room tour once we got in there. So we're gonna go away from future Zach and Jen, throw it back to the past, and show you guys what it was like when we first got into our stateroom aboard the Disney Fantasy. So
easy to find our place.
all right, guys, so we are taking you through our tour of our room. Thank you, Jen, for the assistance in getting the door.
Of course.
She's right back there. So back here, we've got our closet and restroom facilities, basic cruise stuff. We're not gonna really spend too much time focusing on that, but the main thing we wanna show you is look at this view. So we did a porthole room this time, which obviously you can see it in the background now, but we'll go over there in just a second. Jen, what are your first impressions?
I love it. It's nice and spacious for a cruise room, and I'm really excited to see how it transforms overnight.
Yes, so as Jen said, transforming overnight, everything over here for the couch and stuff will be converted for turn down service. There's even, looks like there might even be like a little Murphy bed over there as well too, with the latch at the top of it. What's nice is we've got the separator curtain, so you can separate the different areas too of the room, get a little bit more privacy if you've got multiple people in here just besides the two of us. We've got some of our family with us as well, so that'll help separate the areas. We've got our TV, and then a couple of gifts that some family were so gracious enough to give us as we are celebrating our anniversary on this trip. More on that in the coming days as we celebrate in a very special way on the Disney cruise. But we've got some of the stuff here, some gifts and knickknacks and whatnot, and also some of the Castaway Club swag that we get too. Looks like we got a backpack and a lanyard in there that we can take a look at later. And then, of course, the main reason to get this room, the giant porthole outside looking into the ocean. Right now we've got some of the port as we have not left port yet. That will be coming up soon. We've got to go get ready for our muster drill and whatnot. But once we're out into the ocean, then this will be all blue water from here until we get off the cruise in just a few days. All right, everyone. So we'll finish up our tour here and we'll continue on to the rest of the day's excursions we've got on Embarkation Day aboard the Disney Fantasy.
So you just saw our room tour. It was a non-veranda room with a porthole so you could kind of see the ocean. I personally loved this room. There was so much space in it. We had it connecting to the rest of our family, so we kind of were able to keep that door open between us and go back and forth as necessary. But for 3-4 of us, we were a little concerned about cruise rooms being spacious enough. This room was so much more spacious than I think any of us could have ever imagined. Partly not having that veranda, I think, helped because we had a little bit more space in the room. The extra porthole gave us a little bit of, just like for me, the mom pictures, getting to have those private porthole pictures and not having to do it with everyone else around. You could also just kind of sit there and watch the ocean at night or in the morning as the sun rises. It was fantastic. It was like my little hideaway. I wish I could still have that hideaway in our house. And all the space there, amazing.
Yeah, one of my main concerns going into the cruise, as far as a packing thing, was what was the storage space going to be like? You know, when you go to a normal Disney hotel or a hotel in general, there are generally 4 dedicated drawers for all your stuff. And I didn't know what that was going to be like in our room. Well, there were probably at least 8 to 10 drawers we didn't even end up using in our room. We had that much space.
We had extra space. And our suitcases, you know, some people get concerned about your suitcases. There's so much space between the floor and where your bed sits. Not that it's really high, but there was enough space there that we could just put the suitcases under the bed.
Yeah, they're the open floor to where you can tuck everything underneath the bed and it's not sitting in any of that floor space. As Jen said, with the porthole Oceanview room, instead of having the veranda, that gives you more space. So instead of having the traditional bunk beds that come out of the ceiling like the veranda rooms do, we had a couch bed and then a Murphy bed that came out of the wall. What was nice about those is that Disney Cruise Line crew are always doing the turn down and the sunrise services for you to get your room back in tip-top shape. But in the middle of the night, when you go over to the other area and to look for something, you maybe need to get a glass of water, you're not whacking your shins off of any other beds that are sticking out in the middle of the way. If you've ever stayed at one of the other Disney World hotels, you know exactly how that feels, and it is not good.
And our kids were the ones who slept on these beds, and they said those Murphy beds and the couch pull-down bed were fantastic. They were so soft and comfortable. They slept incredibly well on the ship. No problems whatsoever, and wanted to stay on those, like in those beds when we came back home. We've all missed our cruise beds very much.
The bed that we had in our room was the absolute comfiest bed I've ever had at a Disney hotel, bar none. I've even Googled what company they use, and unfortunately they only sell those in bulk. So for any of our fellow Disney friends that have gone on a cruise that want to get in and participate in a bulk order of these, we will join you.
Let us know. Those mattresses are the best,
they
softest,
were amazing.
Most amazing.
And we'll talk a little bit more probably in a general overview of some of the tips we need to know about for a cruise if you ever go. There was a little bit of rocking for us, some seasickness, not necessarily from nausea, but more dizziness. Yeah, not you.
Not for me
I
at
was
all.
the one that suffered from it.
Mine was when I got back on land.
Yeah, but didn't really feel that as much actually sleeping. It was pretty comfortable. I was not rocking back and forth. I wasn't uneasy in any way. So
it was one of those that, like, when you think of rocking babies to sleep, it just rocked all the adults and everyone else to sleep. It was the right amount to me, in my opinion, just perfect there. Yeah.
But once we were done in our room of getting settled in and unpacking, we actually had to go for the muster drill. Now, if you've ever been on a cruise, you've probably heard of this. It may go by certain other names depending on the brand of cruise that you go on.
Not every cruise will make you go to this muster drill. Some will have a video or a PowerPoint or something to watch, and some people may do it and some people may not. Disney will actually make you go through this drill.
Yes, and essentially what it is your lining up of your station to if you need to get off the boat.
It's your emergency practice drill. Kind of like a fire drill in school, but in this case, it's your how to evacuate the ship safely in case of emergency.
Yeah, where are the lifeboats? How are we going to get on board? Everything like that.
How do the life vests work?
Yes. everything. Think of it basically of the safety spiel that you get on an airplane.
Yes.
Before you take off. Very similar to that. Now, you have to go to this. It is an absolute requirement. If you don't, Disney will track you down.
And don't be that person, and don't be late, because they will make everyone wait for you, and then you will be humiliated in front of everyone.
Yes, we will golf clap for you as you arrive in a sarcastic manner.
There was a group that either wasn't in their correct location or didn't show up that they made everyone wait for, and they were going down and searching by stateroom number. So everyone knows which stateroom number wasn't there.
Yes. And speaking of your stateroom and your muster drill assignment, your general location where you need to go is generally on the stateroom door on the back side. It'll have a diagram of this is where you need to go and also how to get there in the event something happens, because the elevators usually get shut off. How do I get there via the stairs?
Please make sure you use the stairs.
Yes, which we'll talk about in another video.
It's a different
Not
thing.
all the staircases lead to every part of the ship. That was something we finally got a hand of on our very last day.
So it's a really good thing to practice this muster drill from your room so that you know how to get from point A to point B safely, quickly, and efficiently, because there's going to be blunders during the drill, and that's where you want the blunders to happen, not if there were ever actually a true emergency.
Yeah. Now, once we were done with the muster drill, it was time for what I was probably most excited for on our embarkation day, and that is the sail away party. And, lucky for you guys, we're going to take you there at the moment we had it as we were getting ready to leave port. So now, let's all go together back into the past, Zach and Jen, and go watch Let's Set Sail as we end up leaving Port Canaveral.
Who's excited for a fun, new, and exciting adventure? Let the magic begin.
Well, hello Disney Fantasy, welcome aboard! I'm Ann, your cruise director, and I'm so excited that y'all are here. For the next few days and nights, the ship will be filled with music and laughter and stories. Stories you know, stories you love, and stories that have yet to be written. Your stories. My hope is by the end of this voyage, you will have created a million more magical memories. So if you're ready, let me hear you say, let's set sail!
Come on. It's time to sail away. Hi. It's time to celebrate.
Hello.
Hi there. Adventures waiting for us on the sea. I can't wait to fly. Here we go. Right there where you are. I'm ready. Let's set sail. I'm ready. Let's set sail. Glad you're here.
Well, I am.
Oh, goody goody. Setting sail on a vacation really is magical. Especially when you're with family and friends.
That's right. Here on board, your family and friends become our family. So come on and join our family time.
Welcome to our family time. Welcome to our family time. We'll share it all.
Remember, in good times together.
When someone dear to your heart. Find love. Find the future.
Telling stories and laughing with friends. The greatest moments you'll ever forget.
Oh, I'd love to. Will you all help me count down?
Happy to.
Here we go. 5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
Minnie, what do we do now? Let's do it!
After our sail away party, we were all hyped up and ready for more fun. So we took it to the lounge where we went for a DVC event. It was kind of like a trivia Family Feud style event. We are DVC members along with the rest of our family. So this was one exclusive for DVC members. And we had so much fun at this little mini event as well.
Yeah, I ended up getting in front of everyone participating in the event as one of the team captains of one of the 3 teams that they split us into. And it was a lot of fun, just some general Disney trivia in a Family Feud style. Ended up getting some fun DVC stuff. But the main thing we took away from this is we found out what Cloud M Blue is. Now, if you've never heard of this, because you've never been on the Disney cruise before, it's essentially a carbonated apple juice drink.
So good. So good.
And it's only sold in Italy.
We can't get it.
Breaks my heart because that stuff was amazing. It literally is like a carbonated apple juice. It was really good. And it's blue for whatever reason. But it's really, really good.
So we had this at the DVC event, and then you had seen in the room tour, we had a gift that was given to us by our family for our anniversary. That blue bottle, that was the Cloud M drink. So we got to try it here, and then we went back to the room and found out later it's actually what's in our room. Unfortunately, we had to drink all of it, and we couldn't bring it off the boat with us and home. So we don't have any left. But it was delicious while it lasted.
Yes, so I'm trying to find a way to be able to ship that from Italy to our house because I need more of the Cloud M Blue.
It was so good. Everyone in the family loved it, and it's a non-alcoholic drink, just so something that everyone in the family could enjoy, no matter what their ages or their preferences or whatever the case may be.
Yes. Now, after that event at the D Lounge, which the D Lounge is one of the many areas where they do a lot of big family events, trivia and things like that, it was actually time for us to get ready for dinner. We had the early dining rotation time at 5:45 throughout our cruise trip. You can either do 5:45 or 8 o'clock. And luckily we got the early one because we have kids. They are expecting dinner at a certain time, and I can't eat dinner at 8 o'clock either.
Yeah.
So we were very excited because we had dining plans already for the future. We were hoping to get certain restaurants that we really wanted to go to, and we lucked out because the very first restaurant we got on our embarkation night was the beloved and famous Animator's Palette.
Animator's Palette was one of the rotational dining locations that we were looking forward to the most. It is the classic. It is one that I remembered from back in the 90s. It's changed a little bit since then again, but it's one that I was imprinted in my memory that I was looking forward to share with my family. This is one that we had already looked forward to with the menu, and we were just really, really excited for the theming of this one. It changes from time to time. When we went, we were able to see Crush and all of the friends from Finding Nemo, so that was a really cool experience for our kids to get involved in as well during our mealtime. As far as food, this was one of my favorite spots for a couple of different pieces. I had the baked potato and cheddar cheese soup as my appetizer. It was really, really good. I know I had just had soup earlier that day in lunch, but both of these soups were still fantastic, unique, and different in their own ways.
Yeah, as for my appetizer, I went with the watermelon orange jicama salad. I had some avocado in there and things like that. It was really nice, light, refreshing, a very good early appetizer. The menus are very diverse. They're not your basic, hey, here's chicken, here's steak, here's fish. It's chicken with 3 things steak with 3 things, fish done in a way with 3 things. So some of these are a little more eclectic, adventurous, outside of the comfort zone that you might find, but they're all very, very delicious, starting with my salad and Jen's soup.
Now, I will say one thing, the less adventurous things are going to be found a little bit more on the kids menu. So if you have kids and you're worried about that being too adventurous for them at any of the rotational dining locations, there's not. They always have pizza and chicken fingers and mac and cheese on standby for the kids at all of the rotational dining locations. So as long as they eat some version of those, or if they're adventurous, they will do just fine at the rotational dining still as well.
As for our entrees, this was the main star of the night. I actually ended up going with one of our servers' recommendations. I went with the penne bolognese, which is a penne pasta with a meat bolognese sauce. It was really good, nice and hearty, filling, but not overly filling. There's some good flavors in there. It comes with a piece of garlic bread as well too. The garlic bread was okay. It wasn't my favorite part of the dish. I didn't end up finishing that. But the penne itself was really good, nice and tender. The sauce was flavorful. It wasn't just like a pre-made thing. You could tell that there was some handcrafted notions into this meal.
Now, my main meal, my entree, I got the black bean chipotle cakes, which I don't eat a ton of black beans, but I also was not overly enthused with a ton of the other options because, again, I'm not necessarily a vegetarian, but I don't eat a whole lot of meat for
your main meals and everything like that.
Yeah, just because of my issues with texture. So it's not something that I typically use as my go-to.
And frankly, going into this, we had studied the menus and they actually just changed like a week or two before we got on the ship. So we had to do a whole bunch of new homework and we were pretty convinced that Jen was going to end up living off the appetizers and cabanas. But you'll see throughout our trip, there was a lot that we decided to take adventurous paths on and actually came out enjoying.
See, I think I actually ended up eating more than almost anyone else in our family, which is usually the total opposite of what happens when we go anywhere on vacation. So that was, for me, a nice little bonus for myself. Anyway, the black bean chipotle cakes, I don't typically like chipotle either. It's just a little too spicy for me. But they were fantastic. It wasn't overly spicy. The rice blend that was underneath, it was on the bed of, helped cut some of that kick so it wasn't too spicy. There was a little spice sitting on the back of my tongue, but they brought a bread service that was fantastic too, and that I could munch on and nibble, and that helped cut some of that as well. The black bean cakes I could just kind of cut up real easily and eat as much or as little of it as I wanted. It was very flavorful, it was bright, it was filling but not over-filling again, so it was just in that sweet spot that you really want a meal, especially an evening meal before bed, to be filling but not so much that you just feel like you need to be rolled out of the room.
And then that led us to dessert, the main part of the meal that everybody looks forward to at the end of the night. So there's a few different options on there. You'll see as we go through our videos, they have a sundae that is pretty specific to each restaurant on board that we will occasionally have if we're not looking to something a little more outside the box for dessert. I ended up going with the apple crumble rice pudding. I'm not the biggest rice pudding fan, but I have a very fond devotion to the rice cream from Akershus with the strawberry cream at the Norway Pavilion where the princesses dine, and we've been there a couple times with our kids. So I'm like, you know what? I'll try this too. And I like apple pie, and it tasted exactly like, for my southern audience out there, you might know what I'm talking about. It tasted exactly like a piece of apple pie from a Publix bakery. It was delicious. It was my favorite thing I ate that night and one of the best desserts I had on board the ship.
Now, I went a little more low-key that day. I had the Oreo sundae, which was delicious. I couldn't finish it all. I was really full still from lunch, so I was struggling to even finish all of my food to begin with. So I had, a fair amount of it, but it wasn't because it wasn't good. It was just I was getting full. It was really good. It was well done. All the Oreo cream in it just mixed really well and tasted really sweet, which If you don't like sweets, it might be a turnoff, but for me, I like sweets. So that was delicious, a delicious way to end the night for me.
Yes, and now before we end up leaving Animator's Palette and going on to the finale of the night, I do want to give a shout out to our servers, Tatiana, Matthias, as well as Dimitri, who is the head server of our rotation. Tatiana and Matthias were out of this world. It was the same kind of magic that you get from a Disney World cast. It continues onto the ships. They had both been through a couple different rotations. We got to know them throughout the nights because your servers stay with you. You do not have different serving crew every night. They go with you to each rotational dining spot throughout the cruise, so you really get to know them and they get to know you and your family. Tatiana was very playful with our kids. Matthias was very talkative to us overall within the family. We got to learn a little Portuguese because Tatiana was from Portugal, Matthias is from Brazil, so there was a language similarity there. So we want to say obrigada and obrigado to Matthias and Tatiana for the absolutely great service. I don't know if they'll ever see this. Maybe Disney will see this and they can pass that on to them. But they were tremendous and took very good care of us, especially when it comes to the allergies in our family. This is something important you need to know. If you have allergies on Disney Cruise Line, they are going to take every step they can to ensure you're going to get a satisfactory and safe dining option on board. So we actually ended up pre-ordering most things the night before we would go to our dining.
Sometimes we would even order, those people in our family with allergies would order 2 options in case the chef went through and said, it looks
you can't have
right.
that,
It looks like you can have this, but when we're actually cooking it, we use this ingredient, and this ingredient includes X, Y, or Z. So they always had a backup. And then for those of us who were a little bit pickier, like myself and our oldest daughter to some degree, they would even bring 2 meals or 2 appetizers. So if we didn't like one of the meals, we would still be full and have an enjoyable meal for the second. So they go above and beyond, Tatiana and Matthias. Thank you guys so much. If you ever see this, thank you so much because you made this cruise everything it could have been for our family. So with your rotational dining, you also have rotational shows. These shows are Broadway style shows and they are not to be missed. If you have the 5:45 dinner time, you'll have the later show at roughly 8:30, and vice versa. If you have that 8 o'clock dinner time, you'll have an earlier show, 5:30 or 6, just to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to have seats and be able to see the shows themselves. So being able to have this opportunity to see this many Broadway shows pretty much nightly, Broadway style shows on the ship, was really, really an incredible experience for not only us, but for our kids and as a family. The first one we saw was Aladdin.
Yes, and Aladdin is one of our actual favorite Disney Broadway productions. It was actually the very first one we saw together when it came to Atlanta area. And it's very similar to that. Not exactly the same, but there are very much similarities to it in some of the storyline and the way that it all interacts and such like that. All of these shows take place in the Walt Disney Theater at the very forward section on decks 3 and 4. Big tip, get there early.
Yes.
We ended up getting to the show about 8:15, 15 minutes before it started. And I think because it was the first night, everyone was jazzed up to be there. We got some of the very last seats. Our party actually ended up splitting up because we were not necessarily as early as others. As the nights went on, we get a little bit better about that, but make sure you are arriving somewhere 20 to 30 minutes early to make sure you're going to have seats, especially if you have a large group. It's going to be harder to get those seats all together.
Or if you have a specific place you want to sit. Now they have balconies and they have the main floor seating. I personally enjoyed both. Our oldest really enjoyed the balcony seating better because she could kind of see a little bit more over everyone. Our youngest really liked sitting in the main floor area because there's a lot of interaction from within the cast, not cast members, but the actual stage cast from the production.
They come in the house, as they would say in theater terms. We did end up going balcony on all of our nights, except for tomorrow night on our cruise, where we were apart from our family because we had an anniversary dinner that we'll talk about later. We sat balcony still, and it was very nice to be able to get the overall view of everything, but you do miss some of that interaction with the actors.
Now, this Aladdin style production, it was a shortened version. All of these productions are roughly an hour,
About an hour
and
to
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Give or take a little bit here or there. But they are all fantastic. So all the shows vary on the ships as well. Just because we saw Aladdin on the Fantasy doesn't necessarily mean that you would see it on the Wonder or on the Magic. There are some shows that are shared throughout the ships. There are some shows that are unique to one or two ships.
Yeah. Aladdin, I think, is shared on another one. I can't remember off the top of my head. There are so many of them nowadays, and they keep adding more. But like Jen said, it was a shortened version, but you still have all the main points of the story. And the standout in this, by far, is the genie. Now, the cast member we had that played the genie, he was perfect in this role. He had the charisma, he had the singing, he had the acting, the jokes. I mean, there was one in there where he talking about, oh, you don't know who the genie is? Let me play my theme song. Da 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 da, and going into the Bluey theme song and just knocking it out of the park with the jokes and the humor, but and also the heart that comes with it.
Connecting it really to the audience. He was able to pull kind of when the audience laughed a lot more and got into it than other times where there was more of like a ha kind of laugh. Bluey theme song obviously coming in got everyone in the house very, very much involved. There were a few other jokes. Not as much of a big hit, a couple laughs here and there, and he would just kind of pull from that. If the audience was engaging more with that, he would go along with it and snowball it even further, and if not, he kind of cut it and keep going. He was really, really good. Definitely the highlight of this particular production for the time we were on the Fantasy.
Yes, and everyone else did a fantastic job. Jafar really stood out, had that villainy gravitas to him. Aladdin and Jasmine were both very, very good acting and singing and actually having that connection that those characters need to have. And even Iago and the Magic Carpet. Magic Carpet can do some tricks.
Magic Carpet was our oldest, I think, potentially her favorite to get to watch, coming from a dance background.
Yes.
Being able to see all the different acrobatic tricks connected with dance was really, really cool in that space where Magic Carpet doesn't speak, but there's so much that you can do just being able to express yourself in other formats, and that was a really, really cool way to see it.
Yes, so Aladdin was a great way to cap off our first night before we ended up going back to the room to get some sleep before we ended up going on our next day. Now, when you go back to your room at night, there is actually something very fun to look forward to there. Yes, there's chocolates, but there's something else that we're talking about entirely, and that is the beloved towel animals on the Disney Cruise Line ships. So every night you're going to have a different towel animal. In fact, there's actually classes on board that we unfortunately did not get to go to that you can learn how to make some of these. And so our first night coming back and seeing the towel animal was quite a treat. And we're not going to tell you what it is. We want to see if you guys can guess it before we come back and talk about it. So without further ado, here is the first night's towel animal in our stateroom.
If you guessed correctly, our first towel animal was an elephant, which our youngest was so excited about. Yeah. She absolutely loves elephants. So this one was nicknamed, I believe it was, no, it wasn't Ellie. I was going to say it was Ellie. It's not Ellie. It was Flappers because of his big flappy ears.
Yeah.
So the other thing you'll notice is he had a little pair of sunglasses on. Those are our youngest sunglasses. If you leave out stuffed animals, sunglasses, hats, anything and all those kinds of things your cast member will use some of those from time to time and help decorate the towel animal, interacting with the towel animal in such cute little fun ways, a variety of different ways that you'll see throughout the cruise.
And it adds a personal touch with it as well too, seeing, oh, my stuff was used in the creativity of this. And like Jen said, there is quite the eclectic menagerie of towel animals that we had across our cruise, that we also found some when we came back in the afternoon after the service was done in the morning to turn our room back into like its day status, I guess you can call it. So we're going to be showing those in every video and see what you can see along the way, because not every room gets the same ones. It all probably is dependent on what the cast member can do. And like we mentioned before, there is a class where you can go and learn how to do some of the more common ones on the Disney Cruise Line too.
No, we said we didn't get to do this one. It was not because we didn't want to. We just didn't have time. We ran out of time, to be completely honest, in all the things we were trying to do, and we missed it. So this is definitely on our, we have started a running must-do list for our next trip, and this is on it.
Must-do level 2, essentially, is what we're calling it.
Yes.
So we're getting ready for our next cruise. We haven't exactly planned it yet, but we are obviously in the mode of trying to figure out when are we going back.
Yeah, we've already started narrowing a few things down so that we can make sure we get back up on the ship. But yes, so these classes would be really cool because it's a little bit of magic that you can kind of take home with you as well.
And that actually does it for our embarkation day aboard the Disney Fantasy. If you've made it this far in what is undoubtedly our longest video we've ever done, thank you for that. Make sure you also like and subscribe as well, and hit the bell for notifications, because we're going to have quite the series coming up of our adventures on the Disney Fantasy. We've got multiple ports we're going to in Castaway Cay and Lookout Cay on Lighthouse Point. We've got some big dining reviews to go through. We've got a day at sea, as well as our adventures at Walt Disney World after. So if you don't want to miss any of that coming up, make sure you subscribe to the Disney Pros and hit that bell for notifications so you'll know exactly when our videos hit. That does it for our first entry into the Disney Cruise Line series. We hope to see you back here next time as we go into day 2, when we go spend our very first time together on Castaway Cay and celebrate our wedding anniversary at a very special dinner on board the Fantasy. So for Jen, I'm Zach. Thanks for watching the Disney Pros, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.